understand who the enemy is. Understand who the enemy is. Oh, I'm already live. Okay. So, good evening, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Another edition of the Democracy Defense League Community Forum. And tonight I want to talk about several things. There's some bad news and some good news, and there's some hopeful news. And let's go over the bad news about the quality of life, how we are treated as human beings here in the city of Flint. How those in public service that are outspoken is under attack. And so I'm going to start out with a week ago, yesterday, at the city council meeting. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details because this situation is in litigation. But Eric Mays was threatened with arrest. They didn't arrest him, but they told him that he came back from they had a recess, and they told him that he could not come back to the meeting. In other words, he came back from recess. He had been outside. He came back upstairs. 3 or 4 officers were there meeting him and saying to him, we got a call from the chief. You can't go back to the meeting. Now, we have to ask ourselves, why did this happen? And first of all, let me say this. These are not the views of this radio station. This is the views of myself and others, some of whom are Democracy Defense League members. But Fli-City Blackout, this is not the views of the Fli-City Blackout. Just want to make that clear. So even back several weeks ago and several months ago, when Eric Mays was put out the meeting for 30 days back in early part of the year, it's pretty obvious, and they continued to put him out. And it's pretty obvious that the time that he was put out corresponded with a escalation of spending the ARPA funds. And we all know that Eric Mays is one who's going to get down to the fine details and fight for the money to be used for residents. It is what it is. That's a fact. As a matter of fact, at the meeting last week before the reset, this Thursday, the special meeting called by the mayor, who, by the way, didn't attend, he asked about, he had proposed $20 million, $15 million additional dollars to repair and rehab homes. And of course, when he asked Clyde Edwards, the mayor's right hand, what happened to my resolution, he said he had to get back with him. So that was one incident. The next Tuesday morning, that was Monday night, Eric was told and escorted out by 3 or 4 policemen. He could not go back into the meeting. Keep in mind, the council didn't put him out, which is normal, but the police deterred him from sitting in his seat and told him he could not return to the meeting. We didn't even have that with the emergency manager. So Tuesday morning, uh, there was an incident on my street where a woman had some things she was storing on her porch. The items that she had there were not blocking her door. They weren't out in the yard, strode all over everything. They weren't on her front lawn. They wasn't blocking the sidewalk. None of this stuff was deterring entering and exiting the home. She owns the side lot. She keeps it cut. She keep her yard cut. And for them to come on her porch and take her personal belongings was just, it was just hard to believe. Now we know that, and they said, well, this is the blight department. Well, when did the blight department have the authority to come up on one's porch when it's not presenting a health and safety issue? Doors are not blocked. It's not out there on the lawn. It's not on the sidewalk. It's not on the streets, but it's people's personal property that they're keeping, and they come up on your porch and take your stuff. Now, in speaking with the black officers, they claimed that they gave her a ticket in December. That's what they say. But even with a ticket, wouldn't you give someone notice, or wouldn't you specifically alert them that you were going to be coming and taking their things? I mean, even consumers will send you a shut-off notice. So these are the things that are going on in Flint. And we all know about the investors who came here and bought up 109 homes. Well, it was 120 all told countywide. And they bought up 109 homes. And James Smith, who used to, some of you may remember him as a local blues artist around here. He used to sing with Gardell Heroes and them. He would do a show, just a blues portion of a show where Gardell and them was R&B. He would do that part. And he was very, locally, he was very popular. And I was taken aback to see that he was one of the ones whose home was just took out from under him. And they came to him, according to his statement, and told him, we own your home now, and if you want to keep it, you can pay us $600 a month. If you want to stay in the home you have paid for. And the article stated that since his wife passed away, he was not able to keep up with the property taxes. And we all know that this company paid $1.2 million for these 90 homes, or 109 homes. And it's not clear whether all of them were occupied or not. But I know, for example, someone whose home was seized, that they were operating a disability home. So what are those people? Where are they supposed to go? I mean, the inhumanity of all of this is just really astounding. While at the same time, we got millions and millions of dollars sitting downtown and people losing their homes. Now, $1.2 million, the city could have bought those homes. As a matter of fact, Dennis Pfeiffer and Eric and other council people had proposed something similar to that when they said when the houses go to the land bank, the city have the right of first refusal. I don't know whatever happened to that. I'm sure some of those homes that was purchased by these investors fell under that category. And there needs to be an investigation about who knew what when, because Deb Cherry, she pointing her finger at the fact that when they put it up for auction, she didn't realize anybody would actually purchase the bundle. First of all, somebody need to change that law and get rid of that bundle mess. They need to get rid of that bundle mess, because hardworking families may want to purchase some of the homes the land bank has, but you done bundled them, Deb Cherry. You bundled them, and you said, well, nobody's ever bought a bundle, and so no. You all just do stuff with total disregard of how it's going to impact people. Why didn't you send something out? As a matter of fact, this is where we need an investigation. James Smith, along with the other young lady that came to council, both of them said they were told that they would be able to make arrangement so they could keep their house. Now, who told them that? They told them they could make an arrangement and keep their home. James Smith was shocked when they knocked on his door and said, we own your house now. It's a wonder somebody ain't going to jail. And I'm talking about one of these impacted residents. So between the land bank and then these investors was on AC Dubin's show, and he said he talked to the mayor and he talked to Deb Cherry and he talked to land bank. Well, when did you talk to him and what was said? Because somebody lied to some of these people and they need to be held accountable for that. But they just, people say, well, they just don't care. Well, it's worse than just don't care. You are actually assaulting and attacking the quality of life of people. We need to call the United Nations in here for crimes against humanity around here in Flint, the way things are going. Every time you look up, somebody being abused, misused, with $94 million sitting downtown. So that was the other scandal we experienced in the last couple of weeks. And so 9 times out of 10, if we don't come together and claim what belonged to us, we're going to see more of these abuses, taking people's property, personal property, off of their porch, of their homes, allowing investors to come in and just through it, signing a paper. Your house is now my house. What? Really? Your vocal leadership under attack to try to create a deflection off of what the real issues are confronting us. So I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and just one last assault and outrage, and you might have heard about it already on the news. Dana Nessel has said that the criminal charges against Rick Snyder and the others. But he was the principal one they were going after in this last gasp of trying to hold somebody accountable. And she said, well, the door is shut now on these charges because the Supreme Court refused to hear. They tried to go back to the Supreme Court. They tried to tweak their case. They had already lost when they said you can't use a one-man grand jury. So they tweaked it and tried to go back to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, we're not going to even hear the case. Whatever the lower court said, that's it. So Dana Nessel in the news, well, we're done. You know, that's the door is now shut on criminal charges. Really? You can't go to the U.S. Supreme Court? You can't call the Justice Department in here? Dana Nessel, Kim Worthy, Ms. Hamoud, y'all came in here when you was trying to get elected like y'all was the best thing, like y'all was superheroes. Y'all was going to do, Dana Nessel, her top priority was going to be justice for Flint. She was going to let no stone unturned. Her and Kim Worthy, we know how you feel. We're going to do everything we can. And here we sitting up here. So why is this happening? And it's only two reasons that why this whole criminal case fell apart. Either they're incompetent or they're treacherous. So you either didn't know what you're doing or you sold out. It's got to be one of them two. And in the meantime, while they was failing us we're not going to even take time tonight to talk about the civil part, the water settlement, which we have not got a dime, the residents. We're not going to go into that this evening. But Dana Nessel and Ms. Hamoud and Kim Worthy, somebody need to see, can they file charges on them for incompetence? Where's the Bar Association of Michigan, the Grievance Commission? And then to add insult to injury, in Dana Nessel's press release, and you can Google it and see what she said, Dana Nessel, her comments about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, look, we don't even want to, don't come here. We don't even want to hear it. Whatever the lower court said, that's it. And she had the nerve to say that shame on the Supreme Court for not wanting to hear their case. Oh, now you're the victim. See how politics can twist around? That's why you have to know who your enemies is, because people will try to divert you into another direction. So now we're supposed to be mad at the Supreme Court. And they done victimized Dana Nessel. And by the way, can somebody please ask Dana Nessel why she named Hamoud as the assistant attorney general, gave her a promotion after you done blew the Flint case? You get rewarded? You get a promotion when you've botched one of the most environmental injustices in the history of this country, because it was done at the hands of our own government. And you get rewarded. and some group just gave her an award. So what some of this boils down to is this: corporate greed is alive and well. And capital walks, and all we can do is talk and get stepped on and kicked to the curb. So that was the week that was, and today was just a highlight. Just when you think they can't kick us more, here they come with something else. But only we can fix it. And just like one of my mentors, General Baker, used to say, we only got 3 fronts of struggle in order to get out of our situation. One is the legislature. That means voting and going down there telling your elected officials what time it is. The legislature, the courts, and the streets. Them's the only weapons we got. And it's pretty clear that we in Flint are not using all of those or any of those to the fullest extent that we can. And the other thing that we must do, we must defend our leaders. We have been down to City Hall for 3 months. A number of us got together and had a little brainstorming session about what we were going to take down there to ratchet up the ARPA funds. And here's the other thing, because I've seen miscommunication on, and it's probably an honest mistake. The ARPA funds must be allocated by December 31st of 2024, not this December. So with our mayor running down there calling special meetings, we got to spend another. We got till 2024 of December to allocate. And we have till December of 2026 to spend it. So we still got time to go down there and turn that dinosaur around and head it back in the right direction. And we're not going to take time tonight because most of what he's proposed has not passed yet. But I do want to say something about these special interest people who come down the city council and walk right past us and get to the front of the line. We've been down there for several weeks, and a number of community people have come down there for special meetings, begging and demanding they need their roof fixed. They need this and that. But here come Ashley Capital. You come to the front of the line. You get $73 million tax abatement for 28 years. Even General Motors didn't get them that kind of tax abatement. General Motors tax abatement was 12 years, 50%. And they shouldn't have got that. But they used the same playbook that General Motors did when they said this: if you don't give us this tax abatement, we're not going to do the project. Is that blackmail? And Dr. Mona, and we're not going to take anything away from Dr. Mona and what she's did to help expose the water crisis. But Dr. Mona, you've gotten quite a bit of money for the registry project over there from Kildee. $50 million for 10 years. Then you got some more money here recently. And we believe in basic income because guess what? As technology advances, there's going to be production of goods and services without labor. So if you can produce goods and services without labor, what does that mean? That means they don't need you for a job. So we're going to have to convert to basic incomes and things of that nature in order for the people to be able to survive in this technology world. But I will say this, Dr. Mona, you don't get to come to the front of the line. We had House of Esther out there for years before we even knew there was no such thing as ARPA. And House of Esther, Miss Penton, she been coming down there pleading and for years to open up, and trust and believe such an agency as she wants to open is very much needed in Flint. You do have single moms and teens with babies that don't have nowhere to stay. And I know some people that work in agencies, they cannot find affordable housing. That's why I say that $1.2 million that investment spent, City Council, if y'all had some vision, y'all could have bought those homes. 1.2, that's a drop. That's nothing compared to the 94 million. You could have easily brought that. And somebody is not telling the whole truth about how all that went down, because both James Smith and the young lady from that came to City Council said they were told by Deb Cherry or someone from her office that wait a little while and we'll make an arrangement. So Ashley Capital, if you a big box nonprofit, I'm talking about the big guns, the big ones. If you a big box nonprofit, you go to the front of the line. If I need a roof and I got top on my roof, I go to the back of the line. And Ashley Capital got $2 million of ARPA. And here comes Dr. Mona wanting $1 million. And she also, I thought it was very audacious of her to say the same thing Ashley Capital said. If you don't give me the money, my other funders said they won't participate. We need to stop these people from coming down there threatening us. If I don't get a top on my roof, what? But if you don't get your project, well, go back and go get some more funders, because that ARPA money belongs to us and we got to be first in line. You people, Ashley Capital, Dr. Mona, again, not taking away anything that you did to help expose the water crisis, but we have to have our needs met first. Not the bricks and mortars and all these agency programs and stuff. And I'm hearing, but I don't know because I'm not on the council and I wasn't on that phony ARPA advisory committee, but I'm hearing some of these smaller groupings that are nonprofit wanting to do things, projects in the community were turned down. I don't know because we can't get the information. But we're sick and tired of the Ashley Capital types and the big box nonprofits And Community First, they ought to be ashamed of themselves for even coming down there asking for something. Because at Community First, you got a 50-year tax abatement. The folks that lost their homes the other week, did they get a tax abatement? No, absolutely not. Well, you can't give residents a tax abatement. You got to save your tax abatement for the big dogs, for GM and Ashley Capital and the My Foundation and folks like that. So we're in trouble, but I'm getting ready to close out. I don't know whether the one can show a few scenes from the strike, because we have to end on a positive note. And the positive note, you all probably heard that UAW came up with an agreement with GM. They had already got an agreement with Ford and Chrysler, and now they do have an agreement with General Motors. And I just want to say, while he keys that up, and he can let me know when he's ready to show some of those scenes. Let's, with all these problems that we just talked about, let's take a page out of the GM strike and the GM strikers. How they came together, they stuck together. And we all know that GM workers is not a monolith group. They're not one race. They're not one religion. They're not one political persuasion. They're not all Democrats. They're not all Republicans. They're not all this and that. But they came together because they had a single cause. And that was the cause to confront and exact what they deserve from the corporation. A corporation who had gouged and taken many of the health benefits and pensions and wages, and set up a tier system, TIER, tier, where you have workers doing the same work, but they all make different money depending on when they hired in. And we're from the old school. We knew it took 90 days to get seniority at GM. These tiered workers, some of them took 8 years to be full-time. So the UAW strike was somewhat overdue in coming to repair the damage that was done to workers. The workers saved the company, but the corporate, Miss Vera and the rest of them were high off the hog and left the workers behind and created a race to the bottom. So I want to show some of the energy and the spirit of unity. The unity, again, was based on the common cause that the workers had to stand up and fight to get what they deserve, what they got coming. And we have a history of that stand up spirit here in Flint, but somehow it's gone to sleep. But we're going to have to wake it back up. We're going to have to wake that back up. Fighting is not new to this community. And we're going to have that spirit of coming to the conclusion that we're going to have to stand up and fight for ourselves. And we're going to have to stand up and defend those few politicians who's standing up fighting for us. We're going to have to come to their defense. So, DeJuan, do you have the... So he's going to show a couple of comments from some of the workers that's on strike. And just about any striker you've seen that you asked, they had the same theme. Management, the CEOs, they had mentioned the fact that they could double the president of the UAW, Shan, and I just want to say as an aside, he was playing chess with management, because this is the first strike in history of the UAW where they went after all three companies. Before, they would just name a strike target and that company would go out. We remember 2019, General Motors went out. But this time he said, all of y'all going out, because none of y'all is offering us anything we can live with. And so he would announce them like an hour before the strike. The first strike wave was 2 plants right here in Flint on Davison Road and out there in Swartz Creek. And they announced that he came on this podcast at 10:30. At noon, they was out the door. So he kept the companies on the ropes because they never knew who he was going to hit next. And they called, the UAW called the strike a stand-up strike. It was the first time in history all three got struck. And it was the first time in history that the UAW went on strike to try to win back what they lost. Usually strikes is to build on what you have and get more, better working conditions, more pay, more benefits. This was a strike to give me back what I gave up to save the company. That's different. And one of the things he won, I don't mean him, the UAW won, was that they got General Motors to commit that when they build the new battery plants, that the federal government is just pouring out. The federal government doing like city council doing to these companies. When they come and ask for something, they just take the wallet out and start counting money. How much you need? Here you go. They get to the front of the line. We want to get to the front of the line. We want to be in the front of the line. We're not saying we don't want some of those other programs, but they have to wait their turn. It's our turn. They got water money. Community first, you got water money. You got a 50% tax abatement. General Motors, before you shut the plants and left here, you had tax abatement. And this ARPA money is the money that we need to do just what the GM strikers did. Restore what we done lost with these recessions and things. $73 million in tax abatements for Ashley Capital when we don't even have enough police? Really? But for some reason, that's not making sense to our representatives. They know we don't have enough firemen. They know we don't have enough police. And then they want to give, and here's another corporate friend that's being treated with kid gloves, is the garbage company. Now, so far, they've held off on giving them. They had the nerve to want to have a contract till 2028. The council and the mayor you got now might not even be in office if they don't win the election, and you giving them a contract to 2020. Nobody gets a contract to 2028. And here it is, 2023. And they talking about they gonna give us some trash cans. And then they want $2 million of ARPA money. Well, to their credit, so far, the city council has not awarded that. And Eric was proposing to them, and this is on the meeting, you can see it. Well, how about we give it to you for 2 years? They said they didn't want that. They don't want that. No, we don't want that. So we got a situation here where we got corporate interests that's just so entitlement. Now we talk about entitlement and white privilege and all that. We're talking about white class privilege. White class privilege. Corporate class privilege. And we don't need a council who sits up there and kiss the rings just because you're a corporation. And that's the direction they going in. So now we're ready to show y'all some energy. Let's get some energy. Let's get it started in here. Would you show them a couple of the spirit of fighting and positivity, what we can do in the right situation when we know who our enemy is?
Who are trying to keep up with inflation, but then you have those at the bottom who are trying to get to the top. So it causes a lot of division.
We are fighting for the next generation of workers
by standing out here and not agreeing with corporate greed. My mother worked here, my uncle worked here, and I've seen generation fight for a living wage and fight for against corporate greed. It's happened in the 70s, it's happened in the 80s, the 90s, and I've witnessed it over and over again, and now I'm experiencing it. So I just hope that we can come to a consensus where everybody is making a living wage and corporate can understand that we're just trying to get where you are. Well, not exactly where you are, because we'll never get there, but you can understand that we're just trying to feed our families.
What is so different about this strike versus the 2019 strike?
I think at this time in America, we're at a time of inflation, and we're at a time where corporations are making profit over profit over profit. So last strike, we were at a bailout time where we gave up a lot. And so this strike, I think that it's time that we get back some of those things. We make people whole, and it's just time to stand up.
I was told black ones who cared about me. I've had 2 or 3 FBI agents who pulled me to the side. They came to my event and said, listen, you need to be careful. They're watching you. I work for the Bureau. You can't trust nobody. You can't trust the women you sleep with. You can't trust your family.
DeWine. Why are you? Okay, so that was a young sister down there in Lansing at the Delta plant. Okay, so that was, and she a local 602, Lansing Delta plant. And did y'all notice what she said? She said corporate greed. And she'd been there 20 years. And she wasn't whining about, oh, we only gonna get $500 strike fund. We need to go back to work. No, they know what they got to do. And she understood why and what she had to do. We know what we got to do. And we want to keep the what in the forefront and not the who. You know what you're fighting. Corporate greed. Giving back what you done lost. Now, it's easy to come together around things like that. It's not, well, I won't say it's easy, but it's necessary when you're in the middle of a struggle like that. So you want to show the next one? You want to show them young men at Ford in Chicago?
Okay, and you are here and involved today, and you are standing up because
I'm here today specifically because we're having a Rosie the Riveter event to pay homage to that. But I am standing up because of my family. I'm a mother of 2, and I care about their futures. I care about bettering their lives better than mine was, and including everybody. The union works and fights for everybody. When our wages go up, everybody's wages go up. Just like when the restaurant wanted to fight for 15, we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everybody. And that is really being shown with GM, Ford, and Stellantis going on strike all over sporadically. We're all fighting for the same cause.
in your opinion, this gives workers everywhere hope because why?
It gives them hope because you know that you're worth more than whatever you're getting right now. Things have not been able to, our wages have not kept up with the economy at all. There are people who've been working here since 97 and they only make $5 more than they were making in 97. And that is ridiculous. If you looked at the wage calculator for inflation, they should be making $41. And they're nowhere near that compared to what they were making. And everybody deserves more money because we're worth it.
I appreciate that. And so today, though, we are fighting, or in the members here at UAW Local 602, they are all standing up today, taking action, fighting for the next generation of workers. How? In your opinion, how?
I would say fighting for the next generation of workers just because of how our contracts are built upon. Each contract is built upon the last one. The last contract, I was here as a temp. I was a temp for 4 years. There was no actual language in the contract before in regards to temps being hired. That last contract, we got that information. Now, this contract, we're going to be able to build more on that, hopefully. They can get more than $16 an hour. That is not a livable wage. And then the same for us, and me being a progression person now. Hopefully there will not be that anymore. We'll all be on the same level. There will be no more tiers. You're either a temp or you're a hired in employee, and that's it.
I was approached by FBI agents, black ones.
So finally, I hope we get to hear the young men down there in Chicago. What is it? Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, and I'm just gonna close out with this inspiring little impromptu singing group. They from local 555 down in Chicago, the Ford Assembly Plant, and they on the on the firing line, hanging in there, fighting for their future, fighting for a better life. And then I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for joining.
Living just enough for the city I'm living, just for the city.
I was approached by FBI agents, black ones, who cared about me. I've had 2 or 3 FBI agents who pulled me to the side. They came to my event.
City. Oh, yeah.
Like and share Fli-City Blackout. There's a number of other wonderful podcasts on too, but we want you to like and share Fli-City Blackout. We'll see y'all next time.